Great, thank you. All right, well, good morning and welcome to our June meeting of the Kansas State Board of Nursing. So I'm glad you're all here and thanks for being present. We do have a quorum, takes a minimum of 6, and we got well over that, so we'll call the meeting to order. There is an on-site packet. There was an update from Systems Automation, so if you'll take a look at that. Are there any additions or revisions to the board agenda? Just 2 executive sessions that we have planned. So one of them we'll try to fit in as we're able to, and the other one I think we'll try to do about 1 o'clock. So, okay. I don't need a motion for executive session. I think we're okay because that's on there. Yeah. Okay, so then we'll go on to announcements, and we do have a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to recognize Rebecca Saunders for 8 years of service to the Kansas State Board of Nursing. Becky, we come up. I personally want to thank Becky. She's been a mentor to me. She was on board when I joined. So, and she's done investigative committee her entire time, which many of you know is a huge lift. And she's chaired that now for the past 4 years and has really done an instrumental job in helping lead that team. So many thanks to Becky and the service that she provides. She comes from Western Kansas, and it's important to have that role here and represent our Western citizens of the state. So many thanks, Becky. Thank you. And
here's your sign.
Here's your, this will help you track.
If you want it.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's gonna be okay.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
And then we also have a plaque for Giovanni. She served 1 term with us and has done a great job in helping us. This would have been her last meeting and she wasn't able to be here, but we will send this to her in the mail and she will get that. But Giovanni has been a great asset to us for the last 4 years. So thanks to Giovanni. So with that, we'll go on to our consent agenda. There's the CE broker update, which is in your packet, the licensing software, and then the RFP for impaired providers. So if there's any questions, we can call those out. Otherwise, we'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Andrew Goldsmith, board member, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Sharp second.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause just a minute.
Was that the wrong one?
We did not have any agenda
Oh,
amendments. So
let me
we don't-
switch that over.
Sorry, that was on consent agenda.
Okay.
Sorry.
I move to approve the minutes from March 27th.
And I missed that one more, that's my fault.
Okay. I found it. I move to, Andrew Goldsmith, board member, I move to approve the consent item agenda, which includes written update on CE broker, written update on licensing software, and RFP for impaired provider.
Thank you, Andrew. We have a motion.
Sharp second.
Thanks, Brenda. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. Okay, now let's go back and let's look at the minutes from March. That's my fault. I apologize. I overlooked that. So this should be on, starts on page 4 of your agenda packet. A minute to review those. We'll entertain a motion when you're ready.
make a motion and move to approve the minutes from the March 27, 2024 board meeting as written.
Thank you, Andrea. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second Oropesa.
Thank you, Melissa. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. We'll go on to our agency reports. Carol, would you like to start?
Sure. Carol Moreland, the administrator, and you should find mine in your staff report section. So I always start out with our NCSBN meetings. There was an IT ops one in which Adrian and Tony attended. There was the discipline case management conference in which Linda attended. And then next week is the Executive Officer Summit in Utah, and I will be attending that. And then we have annual meeting, and that includes the NLC Commission annual meeting on August 27th, and then NCSBN annual meeting on the 28th through the 30th. There's the NCLEX conference coming up on September 12th. That is virtual, I still believe. And then a leadership and public policy conference first part of October. I always put the board member terms there, of which we have 3 whose terms end, of which Giovanni, I don't believe, is going for reappointment. Becky cannot because it's her second term. And I don't know about Andrea.
We're working on
Okay.
it. She's working on it.
All right, okay. Regulation revisions, you had approved revision to 60-3-114. That has to do with the refresher course. And that has been through the Department of Administration, and it has a stamp of approval there. And it's at the Attorney General's office waiting for their review and approval. The APRN education regulations, same thing, because they're pretty well going through almost the same time. So they've been through the Department of Administration, and I submitted them to the Attorney General's office for review and approval. The budgets, fiscal year 24 ends June 30th, so we're in the process of making the end of year purchases and getting that all settled up and everything. We did get our appropriations that we asked for fiscal year 25 that starts July 1st. That does include an increase for the pay increase that was approved by the legislature. So that's in there. And I will be starting on fiscal year 25, 26, and 27 budgets. And those will have to be submitted by September 15th. So busy there. I just listed all the meetings that I've attended. I'm not gonna really go through that. I've tried to tie them all back to something on the strategic plan, so that I'm working on that strategic plan for you. And same thing with the projects there. I did want to draw your attention. There's a couple of things that are new since I put this together. And one of them is we have another jurisdiction that just enacted the nurse licensure compact, and that's Connecticut. So that's 42 on board now. And I know there's more that are in the process of trying to get legislation passed. So hopefully we're going to hit that 50-year or that 50 state mark. And then the other one maybe is not quite as good a news, I'm not sure. We got notification that our vendor that does our quarterly newsletter, does our strategic plan, and also does our annual report will no longer be doing those. So there's someone else that's supposed to be contacting Adrian and I don't believe we've heard from them yet. So I would imagine the next newsletter, which is supposed to be a quarterly newsletter, will probably be delayed unless somebody else can do it the very same way. And I don't know if they'll want to do it a different way. Our newsletter, you know, comes out electronic and it is looked at a lot. There's a lot of clicks. So anyway, I'm just telling you, there might be a delay on the next newsletter. I don't know. We'll see. And then I had a couple of attachments there. I've done the legislative update for the staff throughout the whole legislative session. And I put, I think, what is the final one that probably will affect us. You know that they're coming back for a special session on June 18th But I think a lot of that is to look at the tax thing. But anyway, you'll see here that the ones that were approved, and this is not all of them. This is the only ones that I kind of followed that would have something to do with us per se. And the one that will affect us is House Bill 2745. It's on page 2. It basically what it says, spouses of active military, we will have to waive licensure fees. And that would be the licensure application fee, that would be the fingerprint, that would be renewal fees. So we just have to make a few changes so that we can pick that up, because right now, the way our licensing software is, we cannot just take one thing, one kind of, answer, like, yes, I'm a military spouse, okay, and automatically just delete all the fees that are associated with that. So we're actually gonna have to probably create another kind of license that would be like a military spouse RN, something, so that we would not attach a fee to that. Because if they do it online, they cannot finish the application the way it is now without paying the fee. So we're just making some changes, but that goes into effect on July 1st, and I believe we're close. And then the other change that, I don't know you heard anything about this, but KBI is raising their fees for the fingerprints, the background checks, by $9. So effective July 1st, we will be raising ours, because we have in statute that we can charge what we need to basically cover the cost. And that's all we're doing. We're not making money on it, but we're not, it would be $9 for everybody that submitted it. And that's a lot of applications. It really is. So you may hear something about the Board of Nursing increase their fee for you. You'll probably hear something. But anyway, that's in there. And then I also put, National Council put out this fraud detection guidance for employers and educators. I put that in there because some of you are employers. It just gives you some guidance as far as detecting fraud, on applications or something like that, because we are seeing more fraud. And so I would imagine employers and educators are also seeing more fraud, but that's just some guidance that may help you. So if you want to share that, that can be shared with whomever you want. There were a lot of organizations that did support that, and you'll see that there. So there was a lot of work done on it by National Council, and it is a very good, it's a good document. So anyway, I think that's it. If you have any questions for me.
Thank you very much, Carol. Adrian, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Adrian Guerrero, Director of Operations. You should have my report in your packet. It's been another busy quarter. I've done several presentations and had meetings myself as well as staff. I did a presentation on AI and its impacts on the regulated professions at the IT Operations Summit for NCSBN. I've been asked to do a similar presentation at the Kansas Digital Government Summit that's coming up here soon. I had the opportunity to attend the Gartner Security and Risk Management conference last week, which I brought. It was an absolutely huge conference. I'm bringing back a lot of information regarding cybersecurity in our work. Unfortunately, I also brought back COVID, which is why I'm not there with you today. So I apologize for the last minute logistics stuff, but feeling okay. It's just trying to be safe and everything. But and then Tony had the opportunity to attend a conference and training regarding our backup systems and whatnot. And I'm happy to say that he became a certified engineer on that particular program, which is great for us, and for him as well. So congratulations to him. Probably some of the big stuff that's happened this quarter, we did get the continuity of operations plan resubmitted, and it was approved with 100%. Michelle did a lot of work with that. Unfortunately, I did lose Michelle to the Office of Procurement. She's now a procurement officer, so that's another reason why we're running a little short-staffed at the moment. So we're going to post that position here before too long, but we're currently in the process of filling some other positions at the moment. So working on a strategy for that particular area. And then some other news, we're getting ready to close out the Mills office record storage area, which is directly to the east of our building that we're in right now, which is good news because of that this morning. I heard they're actually selling the building, so to some new management. So we will be out of there as of probably the end of next week. We got a grant that they're gonna come and do the final scanning of the investigative files that need to be scanned, and then we're going to clean up and be done with the location. So timing is just perfect on that one, thankfully. And I would like to thank, I know Sharon's not in there, but she's done a whole lot of work getting that stuff ready. She spent a lot of time in that icky storage room getting everything done. So she's doing a great job for us. You heard on the consent agenda, we've done the phase 1 of the licensure system. It went pretty well. We did it a couple weeks ago. Had a few little hiccups like you expected, but for the most part, everything went pretty well. And then we're starting the phase 2, which is probably the biggest part of the system, which includes the investigative and discipline system, which the 2 teams are really jumping in there and volunteering to help, which is most appreciated. So the vendors are going to come on site here in about a month or so and do some sessions with investigative and discipline and IT to work through it. And so we're ready to roll with that. And then lastly, we're still working, and I don't know if Linda's going to maybe do an update, but on the open records system, we're doing some training, Linda and I, with the vendors, and we're working through a trial. So I'll let her fill you in on that. But other than that, that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you, Adrian. Hope you're feeling better. Any questions for Adrian? Okay. Janelle, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Madam Chair and members of the board. The education report is on the website with the other reports. It's fairly short. We had a couple things of interest I think I will bring up. I think the last time my report, we had submission for an LMHT, or it was for an intent to start an LMHT program from WSU Tech. And in the meantime, we've also had one from WSU. We are, as Juliana mentioned earlier, we are working on those, looking at those regulations, or the education committee is, to see if there may need to be some changes. But in the meantime, we haven't looked at the programs yet, but the interest is there, and especially the Wichita area. She mentioned new mental health facility, hospital going in down in South Central Kansas, so that will be important. So we're still working on that. Flint Hills Technical College, we found out is losing their administrator. Her last day will be June 30th, Anna Crabtree. But we did find out at the meeting yesterday, they have hired a new person, Julie Heitman. So, and I think she is also formerly faculty there, so has a little familiar with the program. So hopefully that will help them out in the transition. Pittsburgh State University announced Cheryl Giefer, who's been the director there for a long time, is sort of retiring. She's moving to a new position within the university to finish up some grants. But Amy Height, who is also on our education committee, has been named the new director and dean of the program. So congratulations to her as well. We did have a couple of site visits since our last meeting, but they're just reapproval visits, so nothing too new there. I think the only other thing, Carol mentioned a couple of the other things. We did have the subcommittee meetings with the LMHT group, that a couple of those, we have more work to do, it sounds like, but they went well. We found out there's more we don't know than we thought, and there's still a lot of questions, but we want to keep pursuing that. The other only thing that's not in the report that I'm just going to mention, because we brought it up at the education committee meeting, is the U.S. Department of Education has some new rules out there, and it started around financial aid, but it is an awareness that was brought to members of the committee and to me with administrator meetings that it may have an impact on our PN programs that are freestanding, which we have 17 of those. So we're going to do more research. We don't have enough to even tell you more than that, other than the rule came out and not a lot of people have known about it. It's kind of like it was buried in a lot of other things. So we just really need to find out, and Education Committee did ask for that to be done. So hopefully we will have more information on that the next time. But other than that, I think I'm going to conclude with that. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Janelle. Ray, would you like to talk about licensing?
Sure. Okay, so my report is also on there as well. So you would see, just like in every staff report, I do list the number of licenses from the last board meeting to this meeting, and then also the renewal statistics for each month since then. Just like pretty much everyone here, I did want to touch on for licensing the fingerprint fee increase. That's going to be a little sticky. So we're sort of preparing for that. We do have the information out on the website, so people are kind of aware of what's coming. I also need to work with Adrian and Tony because we are going to have to switch that in MLO, because as of the first, that fee will change. Also, that House Bill 2745 is going to be a major change for us. So I did ask for approval with Carol and Adrian to be able to have those applicants at this time submit a paper application. They are going to have to submit quite a bit of documentation, including military ID, marriage certificate, also, the Kansas driver's license if they're going for the multi-state. So I thought that it would just be easier because at the time that we had, that this was, we've only had a couple of months in order to implement it by the first. We were doing the MLO upgrade at the same time. So we're going to do the paper route. I know that that's kind of a step backwards, but I just think it will be easier. We would do the refunds if they would submit the application and information online, and that would just create a lot of havoc for a lot of people. So I will be listing that. I'm going to get that information together. I'm sort of changing the applications. Instead of the fee box, it's going to show the information that they have to submit with that application. So that, they don't have to pay the fees. But I did kind of put that explanation in there. I thought, when we first got this bill, we thought that it was military and military spouse, and we sort of had different people interpret it. This was the interpretation that I actually received from KBI, because we will have to code their fingerprints differently as well to make sure that it runs through their system correctly. So there's just a lot of things with this bill that we need to make sure are that we have down so that this works correctly. So that's a huge change for us. Again. And then, of course, I always list the total number of nurses in Kansas as of, since the last board meeting. You will see that, we have more, which I think is due to, May and June. We are still in our huge testing period. So hopefully those will just continue to go up. So, anybody have any questions for me?
So Ray, will you be working to put that process online in the future?
So what I wanted to do, actually, my first thought was that I wanted to do an entirely new license tab due to the military. However, what I have actually decided is, because since we have the license tab broken down into each type, I'm just going to get all of the information together and put it right on that type. So if you go to the endorsement, or if you're the conversion, you have the instructions that if you're a military spouse, you need to go here and you need to submit this by mail. I just figured that would be easier because they're going to that site anyway. But yes, probably maybe once we get that license type built into the system, then maybe we will do a whole different tab and they will kind of have their own area. But I just want them to be able to see it, so we're gonna start there.
It's a pretty short implementation, so I totally understand why you're doing paper and appreciate you getting it out there quickly. So I think there'll probably be requests for an online process down the road, but
Yes.
I think it's very understandable why.
But I'm hoping that when they see, oh, I don't have to pay the fees or I don't have to do any of this, I just have to submit it, they'll be like, sure, no problem. So I'm hoping that will offset that, but I do agree, we definitely want to get that online, but being right, and the MO upgrade kind of tweaks some things that we were not expecting, like I couldn't do reports, and this was actually the same time we were supposed to do our staff reports, and I told Adrian, I was like, I can't even pull these numbers. So it was that, and then it did something to our people who were renewing. It took out that Kansas, they had declared Kansas as their primary state. Then the verifications were not going over to nurses. I mean, it was just kind of, yes. Which, you know, exactly like Adrian said, is to be expected. There are those things that you don't think about. But to try and do that and then to also do a different license type, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go that route. I know I'll probably have to apologize for that quite a bit, but I just think especially with, and the other thing is too, our system at this point, they cannot upload their information. So they would have to send us that anyway. So, you know, hopefully they'll just be like, okay, I'll just put all this in the mail. So I'll try to make that as clear as possible and hopefully it goes over well.
Thank you for your work. It's been a busy quarter, Rain.
And if I can add, that is part of phase 2 is to redo the entire eGov portal. So that's also in conjunction. I didn't mention that during my report. That's also part of phase 2. We're going to be moving the entire licensing platform to the mobile interface where they can upload and those sorts of things. So yeah, we'll make those changes then.
Okay, and with that being said, we'll jump over to Linda, who's getting ready for software updates, so. She'll get to experience what Ray's been experiencing, only on her side.
Okay, so in your packet, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. In your packet, under the staff reports is the practice specialist report. And the first table shows you the case statistics by year, and we still obviously have a lot of cases opened. And on Monday, we had 61 cases presented for probable cause determination. Only 8 of those cases did not result in discipline. So all the cases to me that we're bringing forward for the investigative committee are showing that there is significant reason for the licensee to have some discipline. So, and I'll let Becky kind of take us in there on that. I just want to let you know that we did finalize 126 cases this quarter, but I've also assigned 161. So our numbers are not going down. They are going up. The next table is the complaint statistics, and this data is current as of May 23rd. And this data is collected by calendar year. What Adrian was saying that, we have low tech operations currently over on our investigative side. It's because we have a gazillion Excel spreadsheets and a gazillion access logs, and they're all calendar year. And so to get fiscal year data to give to Carol for the budgets and stuff, I have to take and cut and paste and whatever. And it takes time to make sure I don't go crazy to do that. But so far, and then of course it's manual calculations. So you're relying on me, and I did get an A in graduate statistics, but I said I would always pay for someone else to do any type of research that's for me. So I do my best. But it's perhaps a consideration for when we move to the phase 2 Evoke case management system, that we can hopefully have a better way to collect data as well as to pull the data and get verifiable reports. So that's one of our bucket list items that we have. We're asking for the moon from phase 2, and we expect them to tell us no on some things, but put it on your list because it's going to be there eventually for you. So KNAP statistical summary. I do know that total enrollment is down. Also, again, employer referrals are down. I can comment about a couple of things on this in finance committee. It was mentioned here too. At the CARCM spring conference that I went to at the beginning of May, the risk managers positions, they were down 72 positions across the state. That's significant. So are we getting underreporting because they're having to hire staff and they educate staff? And I even had a new risk manager call and ask me, how do I do this? What do I do? I linked her then with Carcom and to getting her a mentor in Carcom so they could work one-on-one with her, so that they could understand all the things that they need to be able to do. So, I mean, it's helped to be part of that association because it's kind of allowed some better networking and collaboration. They interestingly presented on promoting a culture of safety in the workplace, and they said it needed to be embedded into everything we do. It's an essential leadership function. But they also then said that current data reflects only 7% of reporting occurs in a facility. So it is underreported. Things are underreported. A lot goes underreported. Patient safety, therefore, is compromised. Systems aren't fixed. Those type things. So there's still a general belief that there's a punitive environment if you do report. So there's some educational opportunity that we can do. At the Discipline Case Management Conference, there was a presentation on substance use, misuse, and still 10% of the population of licensees even are estimated to have some sort of substance use and misuse. And if you look at our numbers, only 0.15% of licensees in Kansas are in our program. So there is a significant gap in how we can get people to get the rehabilitation that they need. Let's see. Oh, and I also learned from a knowledge network call that I attend to 18% of applicants for licensure fail to report that they have a criminal background history. And we are seeing applicants with legal history that are significant. And that's affecting, you know, what do we do when do we give them a license or not? And that's up to the investigative committee chair. So thank you. But I linked that then to another discussion at the Discipline Case Management Conference was on the social media, and the new grads in the early 20s are growing up with social media, and they're growing up with that, mini computer that they were, had, ready and available that does Google for them all the time. And that's their means of communication. That's what they know. So, are they influenced then by things of that nature, and how do we somehow educate against some of those things? Don't know. It's all kind of like coming together. KNAP and the Board of Nursing and KU is still going and doing presentations and setting some more up. As far as our performance-based metrics, third quarter of fiscal year 24, what we had implemented back on, I think it was July 1st of 21, because I think it was fiscal year 22, was a different way of processing complaints when they came in the door. And so it's still working because we're at 98.05%. So we do review those timely, and I'm getting cases assigned within a month and usually after that. So then we go into the next one, which is that we complete the case investigation within 9 months of opening. If you recall at the very beginning when we had this conversation, there's 2 dates. There's a date of assignment, and then there's a date of opening. So the date of opening is different from the date of assignment. There's a gap of time. And so that affects, but what I did run by calendar year, because that's what I have, is that, and I was encouraged because 91% of the cases in calendar year 2023, if they were open, they were completed within 9 months. So that's encouraging to me that we're doing, and we're trying to get the more current ones and then pulling the older ones that are assigned with that same licensee. We're trying to get those all together at the same time. So I'm hoping that my fiscal year data, when I do my manual calculation and cut and paste and everything, that I'll see it over 60%, I'm hoping. But I also, I don't know if you understand, but calendar year 2023, even though we are at 91% for that, we still have 297 cases that are assigned but not opened. So that's about a third. So, that leads me to the nurse caseload, which that Journal of Nursing Regulatory article said 60 on average, and we're well over 150 cases per investigator. So we've got some things to work on, obviously. Carol had us look to see what kind of processing delays perhaps are outside of our control. So we've been mapping some of those out for her. Out-of-state parent companies, it creates a maze to try to figure out who has the records and how do we get them. Extensions to document productions, it's getting to be a little bit more. And then facilities that close, where do the records go? They have record retention policies, but we're having to hunt for the needle in the haystack. So those things are kind of like delaying our processing. We do open the sworn ones more timely than we have in the past. So, and then the A&E is the abuse, neglect, and exploitation cases, and then drugs and impairment. So I expect those numbers to still be mirroring 2023 data. Only 14 unlicensed practice this quarter. Down. No imposter cases were presented, but we do have a few in the queue. So we are looking at those. For open records, Adrian kind of touched on this. And I will say, because May 23rd was the last time I kind of really touched on open records. I try to do it about once a week. But I was gone for discipline case management, and I took a mini vacation to see my son, and so then got back. It's been board week. So in that 2-week period, I received 13 new core requests. So I logged them. I got the 3-day letters out. But the low tech side that Adrian was mentioning, it's me, non-techie. So it's one of the hats I wear. I do my best with what I have. I am working one-on-one with this art case. Deja is her name. She's been phenomenal. I asked if we could do a soft live on April 11th instead of a go live. And it's been informative because we've even identified glitches within the art case system that I thought was supposed to have a folder of some sort, and they were trying to figure out why I don't have a folder. So we're working together, and I have another meeting with her next week to do some more one-on-one. And she learns at the same time that I learn. So hopefully we'll get all these things worked out and it'll be ready to work. We also have to draft some end user instructions, and I'm currently having to create the portal or the account for everybody who's asking for records, because they're not submitting their request that way. There's no standardization to submit requests. I currently get an email that just says I want 4 reports on this person. What does that mean? So yeah, it's fun. And then along with that, I do use Kiteworks to produce documents securely in a secure means. I don't print anything out and mail it anymore. I don't use a flash drive, things of that nature. But that also, Kiteworks requires constant IT upgrades. And then we're also still drafting end user instructions for that as well. So, and then on July 8th, as if I don't have anything else to do, we're going to start with the phase 2 system automation project and see if we can't get that going for investigative. So it's exciting. We're going to ask for the moon, like I said, and see what they say. So there's a team of us that are going to be kind of looking at it from all different angles, so we can hopefully address as much as we can address. And I'm excited. It'll be fun to kind of see where we can go. Get rid of some of these Excel sheets and access logs and in about 5 years, but that'll be fun because I still have to use them for things. We did hire a part-time LPN nurse investigator, and she started on May 13th. She'll be here in September for the board, so you can meet her. And we still have vacancies for the senior admin assistant, of which many of those duties fall to me. And we have a full-time nurse investigator yet to position. We celebrated National Nurses Week, and I want to thank all the board members on the board who are nurses, as well as those who are not nurses, but you work with us crazy people. So thank you very much for your service. It's very much appreciated. The priorities that the committee assigned us, the investigative committee talked on Monday, because we've been constantly doing after actions evaluations of the new process. And I think it was decided that we would bring some of those forward to strategic plan at the board retreat to kind of give you an update, see kind of how things have been going. Operational efficiency would continue to look at, everything that's going on internally for our processes. The team is really good about brainstorming ideas and solutions and telling me when they don't want to do something. It's like, I say tough. It's gotta get done, so. And like I said, I talked about the knowledge network calls that I sit in on, and then the presentations that we've done. The IV hydration task force, that's between the Board of Pharmacy, Board of Healing Arts, and the Board of Nursing sits on it, but we're not part of any type of advisory opinion, position statement, guidance document, anything of that nature. And that's known at the very beginning and every time I meet with them. But they're wanting to draft something. I've sent it to Carol. We're going to have a conversation because I don't know. it doesn't list us at all, but it does cite stuff from the Nurse Practice Act that I would like somebody else above me to have a look at that. And it, you know, I just want to make sure that that language is appropriate, that whatever. We did mention it in practice committee yesterday, just a brief thing too, but we've done some other trainings with staff. That's about it. I am also attending the NLC's Legal Forum. They have an hour webinar, June, July. So I've been listening in on some of those as well. So that's my report for the quarter. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, staff has obviously been very busy over the last quarter, so thank you very much for all your work. Okay, we'll go on to our committee reports. We'll start with Education Committee, and I'll hand the meeting over to Nathan. We had a very full agenda yesterday, and lots of motions, so we'll sort of cover our updates. So it was moved to approve the consent agenda items, which included draft regulation review approval for KAR 60-2-106, KAR 60-2-107, and 60-2-108. We also approved the 2024 site visit schedule that's prepared to date. There will be additions to it in the future, and then a petition summary for 2/24/24 through 5/11/24.
Motion, is there a second?
I second, Michelle Terry.
Seconded, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to accept the site visit report with recommendations for Flint Hills Technical College PN program with reapproval for 1 year with a subsequent site visit after that 1 year.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second for Kurt.
Seconded, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to accept the site visit report with recommendations for Manhattan Area Technical College PN program with reapproval for 5 years.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, Orteza.
Discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to accept the site visit report for Bethel College BSN program and reapproved for a time period of national accreditation.
Second,
Rebecca Sanders, second.
any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from Fort Hays State University BSN program to increase the number of yearly admission seats from 90 to 120 for the pre-licensure BSN program and allow, allow BSN pre-licensure program courses to have a hybrid delivery option.
The motion, is there a second?
Sharp, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from North Central Kansas Technical College Beloit ADN program to increase the student numbers from 15 to 20 in the second year of the program beginning in fall of 2024.
Is there a second?
A second for Kurt.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No. Any abstentions?
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from Highland County Community College LPN to RN transition program, changing NUR 220 LPN to RN transitions from hybrid to all face-to-face beginning in the spring of 2025.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Michelle Terry, second.
discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from Wichita State University DNP program, FNP, AG-ACNP, PMHNP tracks to increase specialization content to improve competency and confidence of the graduates and meet new AACN essentials, including summer content, and provide DNP project courses in succession to build on content learned and help with project success.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, Marpesa.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from Coffeyville Community College PM program to number one, remove course NSPN 161 KSPN caring for aging adults from second semester. Number two, change course NSPN 121 KSPN nursing care for adults 1 to NSPN 122 medical surgical nursing 1 and increase the credit hours from 4 credit hours to 5 credits to incorporate concepts of care of aging adults. Number three, change clinical component NSPN 126 KSPN nursing care of adults 1 clinical to NSPN 127 medical surgical nursing 1 clinical. Number four, remove course NSPN 180 KSPN leadership, roles and issues from second semester. Change course NSPN 141 KSPN nursing care of adults 2 to NSPN 142 medical surgical nursing 2 and increase credit hours from 4 credit hours to 5 credit hours to incorporate concepts of leadership roles and issues. Number six, change clinical component of NSPN 146 KSPN nursing care of adults 2 clinical to NSPN 147 medical surgical nursing 2 clinical. Number seven, change course NSPN 151 KSPN maternal child nursing to NSPN 151 maternal child nursing 1 and increase credit hours from 2 credits to 3 credits. And then finally, number 8, change clinical component NSPN 156 KSPN maternal child nursing clinical to NSPN 157 maternal child nursing 1 clinical.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second Marpesa.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from the KU School of Nursing graduate program to implement 4 new FNP didactic courses. First one being NSG 984 primary care across the lifespan 1. Number 2 is NRSG 985 primary care across the lifespan 2. Number 3 is NRSG 986 primary care across the lifespan 3. And then number 4 is NRSG 987 primary care across the lifespan 4 for the FNP certificate and DNP program beginning September of 2025. When implemented, these 4 didactic courses, which equal 10 credit hours, will replace NRSG 914 and 915, which were 6 credit hours.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, Marpesa.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from Baker University to reallocate a half a credit from NU 486 transitions to NU 301 Farm 1 to provide more time in Farm 1 to fully cover content.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Sandra.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the major curriculum change request from University of St. Mary to change the delivery method of NU AT 433, aging at the end of life care in nursing, from an online to a hybrid delivery.
Is there a second?
I'll second for Kurt.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the initial application for Southwestern College Bachelor of Science in Nursing program at the main campus in Winfield, Kansas, as a face-to-face program with a planned start in fall of 2025, with a site visit to be done prior to admission of students, and they will be requesting 20 admits annually.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, sure.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to recommend another first graduation site visit, for Mid-America College of Health Sciences PM program as a full audit with visit to be done prior to any admissions for that new class.
Is there a second?
Rebecca Sanders, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
It was moved to approve the initial site visit report for Allied Health Career Training PM program with a follow-up site visit to be done after the first graduating class is complete. After receipt of the director job description by the Education Compliance Officer, we will approve to admit 20 students annually.
Motion, is there a second?
Second, Ortega.
Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes. That concludes my report. Thank you. I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. A couple more maybe before we take a break. Does that sound okay? Becky, association.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me, Linda gave us a lot of our information in her report. All place. She highlighted that we had pre-reviewed 61 cases, and 8 of them there was no action. We had brought in to see in practice. The decision was supervised practice and revocation. There was a case of felony was with a suspension. Negligence with C&E and fines. A drug diversion impairment, which was a revocation and suspension. Practice outside the scope was a suspension. Mental incompetence was a suspension. Failure to follow policy and procedure. But there was a suspension, supervised practice, and a letter of concern for those cases. Unlicensed practice was fines and C&Es, and the C&E audit was fines. We had a notification to another board of nursing that was made as a licensee moved out of state and failed to respond to us. So we have those issues coming up a little more too. And then we had a review of the case investigation processes and a conversation with our investigators about the continued evaluation of the processes, that we're trying out and exploring and whatever. And we've kind of come up to one conclusion. There's 2 conclusions that we're going to pass on and talk about at the retreat. One of the biggest conclusions that we've come up on, and I think my committee will vouch for that, is the complexity of the cases now that we're getting are so different than even 2 years ago when we initially were discussing how we can, turn around efficiency. It's really kind of alarming, but there is a lot of complexity in the cases. So it takes longer. And the second, we were asking the investigators how they're doing, because you heard the volume is large, and they just can't get ahead. They complete some and then get 2 more times with that and replaced by them. They were kind of, and I was wondering if they were kind of starting to feel a little rushed when we're having these in between meetings. And so it's kind of, it's kind of floating to the surface now. The new age now of our licensees, even the background checks has already been discussed and alluded to in conversations, that they're more and more lengthy and they're coming more legal. So we just have a big job, I guess. So we're looking forward to dialoguing more in the retreat. But the tremendous progress has been made, absolutely. Absolutely. And Julian used to be on it, that now that the turnaround, they're doing a marvelous job. Those investigators are doing a great job.
Well, that shows in the
You saw the
numbers
numbers.
speak for itself in this report, so.
You saw the numbers. We just need to get our second page and that would help too. If that stops, until we can get one at the second AG, but they're doing a dynamite job.
I think we could keep 3 busy. Well, once we do the case and it goes to the gym.
That's where the
There's-
gridlock.
Yeah,
It's part of it, but it's like, there's only so many cases they can work, but even when we had 2, it was,
And I do think we've had some interviews for that position, so we're
We had
looking
one.
on that.
Great news. Yay. That's into my report. We didn't have any votes to do.
Appreciate that. Andrea, CNE maybe therapy.
I think that my emotions will get to the heart of our committee discussion, so let's hop right into this. It was moved to approve the consent item agenda, which includes IOA statistical report, single providers approved 324 to 524, provider relinquishments, update on CE broker, KAR 60-9-106, 60-9-107, initial review.
We have a motion. Second, Maria. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to withdraw approval of Ellsworth Medical Center and Irwin Army Hospital as an IV therapy provider.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second, Lopeza.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to withdraw approval of the following CNE providers: Allied Health Instructors Academy, CE That Matters, Ellsworth Medical Center, Aspire Nursing Connection, In Your Home Care Service, and Wesley Perinatal Outreach.
We have a motion, is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to approve the revision of KAR 60-9-106 through the approval process.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Lopeza.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries.
It was moved to approve the long-term provider 5-year renewal application from KC Care Health Center with a request to review online roster.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second for Carl.
Any discussion?
sharp recuse.
All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. And we have one abstention. Any others? Motion carries.
It was moved to approve the long-term provider 5-year renewal application from KFMC Health Improvement Partners.
We have a motion.
Second, or Pesa.
Thanks, Melissa. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to deny the initial long-term provider application from Apple Tree CEU LLC with feedback provided.
Second. Thanks, Lori. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to approve the initial long-term provider application from Kansas Adult Care Executives.
Michelle Terry, second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
It was moved to deny the initial long-term provider application from Nursing CE Central with additional feedback provided.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, or Pesa.
So any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
That's my motion.
Okay, APRN committee. Melissa?
Oh, yes, sorry.
You're up.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam President. I have one comment after I'm done with my motions, but I think this will wrap everything up. In regards to my review, I move to approve the consent item agenda, which included APRN programs approved for licensure, final review of KAR 60-11-101, definition of the expanded role, final review of KAR 60-11-102, roles of the advanced practice registered nurses, and number 4, final review for KAR 60-11-103, licensure and educational requirements for advanced practice registered nurses.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
The second one I had is I move to approve KSA 65-1152, qualifications for authorization to practice as a registered nurse anesthetist as written.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Michelle Terry, second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, and the final one is I move to approve KSB and articles pertaining to the APR committee as written.
Motion. Is there a second?
Sanderson.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And just one side note on that is that we have been trying to get the CNMI council back up to speed, and Carol's done a great job of reaching out to people. But we did have a committee member who will do a personal touch to see if we can get people a little more interested in kind of finishing up the last 2 regulations from quite a while ago. And that was just kind of my last final side note that we'll hopefully get that together by September's meeting and have some more finishing up of that.
Thank you for your work on that.
Thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
It's taken a lot of encouragement. Okay, Lori, would you like to talk about practice committee?
We have a lot of reviews, but other than what my motions are gonna show, we've done a lot of work on the frequently asked questions draft. It looks really, really good. There's gonna be a few more finalizing of that, but we're very happy with the draft that we presented, so. You can tell it's a lot of work went into it, so. Okay, and then I have three motions. It was moved to approve the consent item agenda, which included practice calls report.
The motion is our second.
Michelle Terry, second.
Michelle, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
I move to approve the following five-year statute regulations as written. KSA 65-1115 RN licensure, KSA 65-1116 LPN licensure, KSA 65-1117 renewal CNE, KSA 65-1166 nurse licensure compact.
Motion is there a second?
Second or Pesa.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
My last one, it was moved to approve after review for approval to approve the following KAR 60-3-101 licensure, KAR 60-3-102 duplicate of license, KAR 60-3-103 change of name, KAR 60-3-105 reinstatement of license, KAR 60-3-106 licensure qualifications, KAR 60-3-106A temporary permit, and KAR 60-3-107 expiration dates of licenses.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Sharp, second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, that concludes. Thank you, Lori. And then I'll hand it back to you for a brief finance report. So Finance Committee met this morning. I think you've heard most of the updates within Carol's report and Adrian's report with system automations. And have one motion. I move to approve the consent item agenda, which includes the update on upgrades to the licensing software.
Sure, second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
That concludes my report. Why don't we pause for a quick break? We've done a lot this morning. We're flying through this agenda, so we'll pause for a quick break there. How about we come back in about 10 minutes, come back at 10:35. Thank you, Colton. Okay. Let's do an update on the strategic plan retreat.
Adrian, are you on there? Adrian and I are working on the strategic.
Sorry. We have a delivery driver out back, so I'm trying to get that set up. I'm sorry, I missed the call.
Can you talk on the update about the strategic retreat?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're getting it all set up. We have a great agenda, I think, ready for you all. It's going to be an exciting couple days for us. Very quick, very fast paced. Dr. Stephanie Ferguson is going to be joining us, which her bio's on some of that information that was sent the other day. We've had a couple meetings with her, and she's excited to be able to do some presentations. She's fresh coming back from the World Health Organization doing some stuff on the international level, so she's going to give us a little update on that while she's with us. You all should have received a Survey Monkey. I have not looked at it today, but we have some, like box lunches and stuff coming. If you could make a selection, that would be most appreciated. And other than that, I think we're all pretty much ready to go to meet you on the 25th and 26th. If anything comes up, we'll be available for questions.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate the work you've done on that. I think Adrian's tenure at NCSBN and the work that he's done there has introduced him to some really strong partners. And Stephanie has done some work for NCSBN, and I think she, last year we had Dr. D'Angela Burns Wallace, and she certainly was incredibly dynamic. We were very impressed with her, and I think another person of that caliber will be Stephanie. I think we'll be very pleased with what she shares with us. So we're very much looking forward to it. And Adrian, thank you very much for the work that you've done. I think you've been instrumental in making these connections for us. So thank you.
My pleasure. Just let me know if you guys have any questions before then.
Okay. So within your packet, page 17, there's an update from the Nursing Workforce Center. So we'll let you review that. And moving on to the articles for revision, KSBN articles for revision. Carol, do you want to speak to these?
Yeah, I think the last committee looked at theirs yesterday. I think that was the APRN committee. So what's left is basically for the board to look at the rest of them. Because the committees, the feedback and stuff, and I have that in there, I believe. I've just highlighted the changes, and so I don't know if you guys want to look at it and come back in September with whatever changes you want. I want to do that, but because what you don't have in there is the feedback from the APRN committee, but they basically said yesterday to keep it the same as it was. They were not going to change anything. Correct, Melissa?
Correct.
Know if there's any of the other stuff in there that you all want to change.
Is there anything that anybody sees? The only change I see is under that section 3. With the can see any IV therapy is to add that language. Is that the only change we have?
I think so, there wasn't a lot of, committees did not make a lot of changes. Yes, I believe that was the one.
So Carol, review the process for us to make that change.
You'll just have to make a motion to, yeah, whatever you want changed in there. And then we'll put a new date, because you'll see at the bottom it was revised. So we'll just put a new date. I believe. I just want to make sure that you look at this.
Are you comfortable with that, or would you like it to come back and look at it some more?
I'm comfortable.
Sounds good.
Ms. Sharp, I would propose a motion to approve the articles for the Kansas State Board of Nursing as presented with one amendment.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second this one.
Thanks, Ruth. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we have the regulation review process. I think there's been a lot of updates even just this week on this. So this is obviously prepared for your packet prior to this week. So starting on page 35, though, you'll see where we're at. Those that have been approved and they're yellow all the way through the process, those that have initially been reviewed and they're waiting on that final approval are in the gray. For the most part, you could assume that most of them had their final approval if they were gray prior. I know that at least 2 committees have fully completed their review of all of their assigned regulations. So we've made good progress. I think we're on the right track, and we'll continue to keep working through these. You can see at the bottom of page 37, it tells us, how much we have, about another year to finish this up. So yeah, please.
Madam President, I just wanted to kind of remind you, we do all of this because of legislation that was passed. And I think, they just want to make sure that the regulations are reviewed by boards and stuff like that. And we already had a process in place to do every 5 years. But I think they also wanted to just make sure that there were regulations that could, if they could be revoked, that they get revoked. Because there still is a belief that a lot of over-regulation probably, but there is a report that I will have to submit by July 15th, 2025 about all of these 90 that you all have reviewed. I understand the report kind of changes every year, so I'm hoping that they don't ask us for something that has not been included in all of the review, but that's kind of why we do this. But I will say, I think a couple of the committees felt like they were reviewing them for the whole revocation, answering those questions on there. However, in reviewing them, they felt that perhaps there were some revisions that needed to be made. So they did not do it at that point in time because that was not the purpose of that. But they do put them back on the agenda so that they can be looked at for possible revisions. So if you see that, we certainly can do that too, but it's kind of a different process.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Carol. Appreciate the details. Okay. I think we are ready for our first executive session. A guest joining us, so I think there is a motion.
There is a motion. That one is not. Yeah.
And this will be about 30.
No, this is not 30 minutes. This will be a short one.
Short, 20 minutes one. Okay, pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2, I move that the board recess into executive session for 20 minutes and reconvene at 11:06 a.m. The remote meeting will be reconvened by Zoom and in room 509, Landon Office Building, 900 Southwest Jackson, Topeka, Kansas 66612, as stated in the notice of the meeting that was sent to individuals who requested the notice and is published on the board's website at www.ksbn.kansas.gov. The justification is consultation with the board's legal counsel, Assistant Attorney Generals Charles Mashir and Rachel Kinney. That would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. The subject matter to be discussed in the executive session concerns legal issues related to internal license compliance issues and investigations. The board's executive administrator, Carol Moreland, to direct, are included as the client. You have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second for Carter.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. All right, we will adjourn.
We'll go in the
Thank you. Okay, so we have reconvened from our executive session and I believe we have a motion. Pursuant to KSA 65-1120B, KSA 65-1166, KSA 74-1106D, I move the board designate and delegate to the executive administrator the board's authority to request documents pursuant to any matter being investigated by the board or their staff, including requests under the Privacy Act 5 USC 552A B7. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Michelle Terry, second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we are going to take a break for lunch now, and we will reconvene. How about we come back? How about we come back in an hour about and after 12 or so, just after 12, reconvene. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're back after our lunch break, and I believe we have a motion. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2, I move that the board recess into executive session for 25 minutes and reconvene at 12:40 PM. The remote meeting will be reconvened by Zoom and in room 509 Landon Office Building, 900 Southwest Jackson, Topeka, Kansas. 2, as stated in the notice of the meeting that was sent to individuals who requested the notice and as published on the board's website at www.ksbn.kansas.gov. The justification is consultation with the board's legal counsel, Assistant Attorney General Charles Mears, that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. The subject matter to be discussed in the executive session concerns legal issues related to an internal procedure and statutory compliance. The board's executive administrator, Carol Moreland, Director of Operations, Adrian Guerrero, John Godfrey, Chief Information Security Officer, Mark Abram, Deputy Chief Information Systems Officer, Vince Finney, Information Security Assistant Supervisor, Nathaniel Kuntz, non-cabinet agency information security officer, and Rocky McKenzie, non-cabinet agent information security officer are included as the client. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second Orpeza.
Okay, Melissa, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion carries. We are meeting, following our executive session. So with that, I think we have concluded our agenda items and we will adjourn the June meeting of the Kansas State Board of Nursing. So thank you all for being here and safe travels. See you in 2 weeks at the strategic retreat.